What's up, YouTube? It's Tina. Today I'm in my tack room and I wanted to talk a little bit about some of my favorite saddle pads that I've used over the years. I seem to have favorites at certain times and certain ones that are complementary to the horses that I have at the time. So I thought I'd go over a little bit. I have a back on track Western saddle pad liner. It's pretty beat up because I use it on both horses. And it's a really nice one. They're designed to improve circulation and blood flow on their back. So I use this one on Milo and Whiskey, hence how dirty it is. And it's super nice because it's thin and it allows you to use other pads with it and not become too bulky. One of the other ones I have on here, this is just my bareback pad. I like to ride bareback on occasion, and I think it really helps improve my seat and keep my horse really in tune with the subtleties in my body. And it really helps me find difficult balance positions in my own body as well. One that I'm really enjoying right now is an SPH pad. This one I use pretty exclusively on Whiskey. I bought it just for him because it is 29 inches long, so it's one of their shorter ones, and I think this is called their coupe. I really like the cutout for your leg support, and it's a rounder skirt because I have a rounder skirt saddle. I've really enjoyed using these. I don't have a problem with the wither cutout. It doesn't sit low on his withers. A lot of times these other ones, it seems like I'm constantly trying to pull it up in the gullet of the saddle. And I don't have a problem with this one, and I use this one in conjunction with the back on track pad, and I'm really enjoying that combination. The one thing I wish I had done was get one a little bit thicker. I believe this one is a 3/4 inch thickness, and I probably in hindsight would have got a 1 inch, but I was a little worried about bulkiness. This one I use a lot on Milo. It's just a wool blend, 1 inch. I think it might even be like 1 1/4 inch width. And it's a 30 inch or possibly 32 inch long. But I really like the synthetic qualities of using these kinds of pads on my horses. I do use this one in conjunction with the back on track pad as well. And one of the things that I don't particularly like about this design, as opposed to the SPH, is the attachment of the leather on the top. I find that this, aside from it breaking down now, as you can see, it's starting to kind of come apart. But sometimes it's kind of resting a little too hard on his withers, and I have to try and yank it up in the gullet of the saddle. But other than that, I do really like this one. It's one of my go-tos on Milo currently. This is a classic equine I've had for years, and this used to be my go-to on Milo for sure, but basically any horse. And you can tell this one's had a lot of love. It's also coming apart. I bought this one used at the time as well. I believe this is a 1 inch or a 3/4 inch thickness. But I started having problems with, it seemed that their back was overheating with this synthetic neoprene type material underneath. And I really prefer the breathability of the other pads. In addition, this one, as time's gone on, it doesn't seem to be as squishy underneath anymore. It doesn't really seem like it's actually really form-fitting to their back like it used to be. So I've kind of just taken this one to the wayside now. I still have it, so if I want to use it, then maybe I'll pull it out again. It's called a Contourpedic I just saw, and it's a 32 inch, which was another thing I kind of disliked with the current saddle that I have. It's a little long. My saddle's like a 28 inch skirt, so this one pokes out a little bit and isn't as appealing. This one I used a lot when I first started Whiskey. It's just a diamond wool, really nice wool blend pad. And this one's a 3/4 to 1 inch thickness. I picked this one up because it's only 28 inches long. So with my shorter skirt saddle pad, this complemented that really well. And when Wiz was first getting saddle started, he was barely 3 years old, and he didn't have as long of a back as he has now. So I really enjoyed this length for him, so it wasn't sitting on his hip. I've kind of gone away from this one as time's gone on. because it does kind of slip a little bit, and I'm not sure if that's a normal quality with the diamond wools here, or if it was a conjunction of this and saddle fitting, or how he was moving. But yeah, I've kind of moved away from it. But the horse I had last year that I was training, Rebel, I used this on him a lot, and I didn't experience any slipping on Rebel with it. So unsure if it was just a combination on Whiskey, but it's another nice one that I've kept in my collection. These are some older ones that I've kept. This is a Kachelle pad, and it's a tapered one, so it goes from 1 inch on the front to a 1/2 inch on the back. And again, I've liked it because it's a shorter length, but it did fit my standard skirted length saddle. I used this one for years on Milo, and you can probably tell because it's pretty beat up at this point. So I used it when I first started Whiskey in conjunction with a, I don't have it sitting out here, but with a woven pad over the front, or a blanket, I suppose, because this is just, it's pretty thin and worn down to use on its own now. So it really needed something else. So honestly, I'm not sure that I'm going to use this anymore just because of its age. And I mean, it doesn't even feel, it's still squishy, but it's definitely had some sun aging and it's got some cracks on it and stuff. But I wanted to show this one as an example. I do really like the Kachelles. I do think that they don't make them anymore, so it might be hard to find one quite like this. A lot of the time they have a saddle blanket covering already manufactured onto it. But lastly, the one that I've kept is another classic equine. This one's called a Sensor Flex, and it's a full length 34 by 36. And probably everyone's seen these ones, but they have the cutout for the butterfly rigging on the bottom. They're quite heavy. I've kept this one for a while. I've used this one on my old horse Rebel. I've used this one on Whiskey. I've used this one on Milo, and I like it. The biggest thing that I don't like is, as you can see, it's just straight. It's straight along the back, and it doesn't really it doesn't really form fit as much as I had hoped it would be. And the way that, because of it being so straight and heavy and thick, I find that the front of it does that effect where it sits really heavy on their withers and on the base of their neck. So again, it's one that I find I'm pulling up into the gullet a lot. And because of its thickness and its weight, it does seem to promote more sweating than some of the other ones. I believe this is just a fleece outer, and I can't remember exactly what's the internal part of it, but the fleece on here really makes it less breathable, and they do sweat a pretty good amount in this one. Plus the added weight of it alone is just tiring holding it up like this. But I've kept it because sometimes with some of the young ones and starting them, I needed a thicker pad to fit it better to my saddle. But now I really haven't been using it on anybody. So there you have it. That's my collection of current saddle pads that I enjoy using. I'd love to hear what you guys like to use. If you have any other opinions or reviews on some of the ones that I have that I've talked about. I'm always looking for new ones. I did just get the SPH and I'm really happy with that. So before I go and spend more money on another one, but I'm always open to trying something else and hearing what other people's reviews are on saddle pads. Just like any other crazy horse person, we have a huge collection of tack and equipment, and we're always looking to expand and get some more. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys subscribe and like if you liked this video, and add some comments on your own personal usage with some of these pads. And I'll see you guys around.